Hello, my name is Gaurang Mohta, and this is the presentation of our Digital Electronic Circuits term project under the Professor Gautam Saha. Our team members are Shreyas Bapodia, Sohan Kumar Parida, Divyansh Singh, Rahul Agarwal, Ritvik Sinha, and me, Gaurang Mohta. The name of our project is Boolean Algebra Solver. It is basically a software package which instantaneously solves many Boolean algebra problems like K-map, QM algorithm, Hazard removal, multiple output minimization, code conversions, and Hamming code generation and checking for error. Our algorithms are derived from basic principles of Boolean algebra and digital electronics. The uniqueness about our software is that many of its features like hazard removal, multiple output minimization, and solving QM algorithms for any number of variables are not found anywhere else. So our code base was basically made on C Sharp, which is an upcoming language, and the front end was built using the .NET framework. Now let us start with the explanation of all the features one by one, starting with K-map. In many digital circuits and practical problems, we need to find expression with minimum variables. We can minimize Boolean expressions of 3, 4, and 5 variables very easily using K-map without any Boolean algebra theorems. K-map can take two forms, which is sum of product or SOP and product of sum or POS according to the need of the problem. K-map is a table-like representation, but it gives more information than truth table. We fill grid of K-map with zeros and ones and solve it by making groups. K-map basically draws its inspiration from gray codes, which are the codes which are in which two consecutive codes are separated by just 1 bit difference. Similarly, in K-map, two adjacent cells have just a difference of 1 in their bit representation, in their binary representation. Now let us take two examples. One, the SOP example of three variables with don't cares. This example is taken by our slides. The input given to the K-map is in a tabular format in which every row represents the binary representation of a term, and we can choose it to be either a max term or a min term or don't care. The first expression is min term 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. As you can see in the output, on the left side is the K-map, and the colored cells are the ones which are grouped. The right side is a K-map layout in which each cell is mapped to its particular binary or its particular decimal number. In the bottom table, we can see the groups that we have made. One is BC bar, which is made of minterms 2 and 6, which is this vertical column. And the other is A, which is 4, which consists of 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the bottom row. And the possible solution is BC bar plus A. One unique feature about our algorithm is that if there are more than one possible outputs or one possible simplification of a given K-map, it will give all the possible solutions. Let us compare this to the actual solution in the slides. And when we do this, we indeed find that the answer to the given problem was A plus BC bar, which is what we have got. Now, moving on to the next example, which is the SOP, the POS example. In this, we will take 4 variables, which will also include don't cares. The expression is maxsums 2, 4, 6, 8. So the minterms are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and beyond 10, everything is don't care. Let us minimize the POS. As seen, the left side K-map highlights only those terms which have been used to form groups and not all the don't care terms. We can see that we have made a group of 8 terms, which is basically a group of two adjust the first and the last columns, and the solution to it is D, which is indeed what we get. When comparing it to the output, to the answer in the slides, we see that the same problem and the solution is indeed y equal to D, which is what we have got.
I'm Sohan Kumar Parida, and I will explain the implementation of QM algorithm. The Quine-McCluskey or QM algorithm is an iterative method used for minimization of Boolean function. Though it is functionally identical to Karnaugh mapping, but the tabular form makes it more efficient for use in computational algorithm. It can also handle more variables. The method involves 2 steps: finding all the prime implicants of the functions and using those prime implicants in a chart to find the essential prime implicants, as well as other implicants that are necessary to cover the function. This is the interface of QM algorithm. First, we will take an example of 4 variable. Now, entering the mean terms of the function 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Also considering don't care terms as 0 and 1. Now for minimizing the function, as you can see, there are 3 stages. The first stage just takes the number of ones in a binary input and arranges them and compares each, you can see each subgroup. This is one subgroup, this is another subgroup, and this is another subgroup. The algorithm compares each adjacent subgroup and checks if there is only one change between them and forms groups between them, such as you can see here 0, 0, 0 and 0, 0, 0, 1. There is only one difference in the 0th bit. So it has formed a group 0 and 1, and both the terms will get ticked as they are used to forming a group. Similarly, we keep on forming groups like this till we cannot form any more group. The items which are not, the rows which are not ticked will form the prime implicants. We take only the unique ones among them. These are the prime implicants A dash, B dash, B dash C, AC, and AB, covering the mean terms as shown here. Next, we make a prime implicant chart so that we can cover all the mean terms available, ignoring the don't care terms, so that all the mean terms are covered. We can see that using only B dash C and AB, we can cover all the mean terms 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Thus, they form the expression of our function. We have taken this example from your slides, so you can see the answer is correct. Y is A dash AB plus B dash C. Now, taking another example, for 5 variables. As the efficiency of QM algorithm lies in the fact that we can use more number variables in place of K-map. Entering the mean terms 2, 6, 9, 11, 13, 15, 18, 19, 22, 23, 25, 27, 9, and 31. Now, for minimizing this, you can see here we have 4 stages. And we can see that some of the rows some of the initial stages are some of the rows in the initial stages are also not ticked. Those will also form prime implicants. Here are the prime implicants table, and this shows all the possible answers. The one thing about our code is it shows all the possible answers that is possible with B dash, D, E dash, and A and BE. Those are the essential prime implicants, while the other terms are any of the one terms can be chosen to form the minimized function of this mean terms. Now for showing this was also an example from the slide. Here also the answers match, such as B, A, B dash, B dash, D, E dash, B, E, A, D, E, and plus B dash, D, E dash. Here B dash, D, E dash, and B, E are the essential prime implicants where any of the one terms from A, B dash, D, and A, D, E can be chosen. This shows that our algorithm works fine with 4 variables, 5 variables, and even more number of variables.
My name is Divyan Singh and I will be presenting the hazard cover generation for static 1 and static 0 hazard. First, we shall cover the theory from a sample case taken from the slides, which is y is equal to bc plus ac complement d complement. As you can see visually, it is represented as following: green area representing the minterms of bc and the orange area representing the minterms of ac complement d complement. Since the basic logic of hazard term is to find two minterms which are adjacent to each other but not covered in the same term of the expression. What our basic motive is to find a term which shows the difference in logic states in two terms selected. So our aim will be to check for every pair of terms in the expression and find the variable which is causing the static 1 or static 0 hazard. Since both the hazard require only one variable to be in a complemented form and in an uncomplemented form in two different terms, the crux of this logic remains same even when the expression is in SOP form or POS form. So first we represent BC in a logical way. The logical way used here is underscore representing the variable is not present in the term. A 1 if it is present in case of static 1 hazard, and 0 if it is present in uncomplemented form for static 0 hazard, and vice versa for uncomplemented form. As you can see, the representation of BC will be A not present, C present, and D not present. Of AC complement, D complement will be A present, B not present, C in complemented, and D in complemented form. Since a variable is not present, it can take either the values 1 or 0. For the generation of a common term which causes no hazard in the expression, we choose the value of the not present term in accordance to the other variable. If the other variable is a constant, we repeat that constant, or if it is also not present, then the variable can be supposed to be absent from the system of these two terms and thus not affect it in any way. Therefore, for A, we will conclude the cover term to be 1. For B, it will also be 1. For C, since C is now the variable which generates hazard for these two terms, we will take it as not present, as it will not dictate the environment conditions which remove the hazard. And by similar logic, D will be 0. That is complemented. From this, we derive the output, which should be A, B, D complement. And as we can see in the slides, we get the very same answer. Let's run it in our software. The number of variables will be 4 for a static one hazard. The first term will be BC. So we'll input that. The next term will be AC complement, D complement. We'll hit solve. The hazard will show us the hazardous variable, which was only C in this case. The hazard cover terms generated were A, B, D complement, and the hazard free final expression would be a summation of A, B, D complement to the previous expression.
Hello, I am Shreyash Bapodia and I will be showing the simulation of multiple output minimization. The multiple output minimization algorithms generates the product terms with maximum sharing between the output functions so as to minimize the cost of functions. This code is applicable for two functions only without using don't care conditions. For this, we use the same QM solver function we used to implement the QM algorithm. We take the input of both the functions in the form of minterms. First, we enter the number of variables required. When we enter the input, they are passed into the multiple function we define in our code, which does the following steps. The minterms of both functions are compared to find the common minterms between them. The common terms are combined in all logical possible ways to form two functions with some common terms. These functions are then compared on the basis of cost function which we have defined in our code according to the theoretical aspect of digital circuits. This cost function calculates the total cost including the gate input cost. The function with the least cost is selected as our final implementation. Now we are going to show some example. We entered the mean terms for both the functions this way. Two, three, four, 5, 7, 12, 13, 15. We have taken this example from the slides. You can see that our code output all the possible answers to the problem. The second solution shown over here is the answer which was shown in our slide. You can see the total cost of the function combined cost is 26, which is shown here. Let's take another example. This example is also been taken from the slides. Here you can see that this example, it is the individual implementation cost and it is the combined implementation cost. Here you can see that the individual implementation cost is less than the combined implementation cost. So this is our output layout. The output is shown as the representation of two functions along with their combined gate input cost.
Hello, I'm Rahul Agrawal. I'll be showing the simulation for code conversion. Codes are the specific group of symbols used to encode numbers or letters. In digital electronics, these codes are used to share information or store information between computers. The group of codes which represent this information in form of strings of bits 0 and 1 are called binary codes. Here we use mainly two types of binary codes, weighted and unweighted codes. So for weighted codes, we have 8421 code, 2421 code, and 5211 code. And for unweighted codes, we have XS3 code and gray code. These codes have different uses, so it's important to have conversion between these codes so then we can use them efficiently. Like 8421 code is easy to remember as it's a similar to decimal system, but its arithmetic is quite complex, therefore it's not used much. Whereas for XS3 code, it's a self-complementing code and it's widely used for subtraction of numbers. And also gray code is used for switching since its switching time is very less because the number different with the preceding number will be only one bit. Therefore, it is required to develop algorithms to convert between different types of codes. Here is the setup for code conversion. By pressing enter, this is the terminal where we can input any code. These are the input codes: decimal, binary, 8421 or 2421. We can input any code here and get the following outputs, converted outputs here. Through internet, some of the websites, we gathered some examples to show. The first example is we input a decimal number 29. So after inputting 29 and clicking on convert, we get the following output codes as decimal as 29, binary as 11101, which we can see is correct. For 8421, this is the output, and we can verify from here that all the conversions are correct. Similarly, for input of gray code, we will input 1100000011 and we should get decimal 514. So clicking on convert, here we can see verify that decimal is 514 and we can verify the other codes also from this. For XS3 code, we are inputting 100101111. We should get decimal 64. And here we can see that the decimal is 64 and the binary is also correct. Other codes are also correct. In this algorithm, we used from the input code was converted to decimal number and the decimal was then converted to respective codes and the output was shown.
Hello, my name is Ritvik Sinha and I'll be explaining the Hamming code generation and error correction part of our software package. Hamming code was initially designed by Richard Hammond to store and transmit data in a way that is resilient to errors. Generation of Hamming code, we depend on parity bits to keep track of the data that is being input into our system. And for an n-digit code, m parity bits are added to the data, which keep account of the number of ones in input code at various positions. For example, if we consider a 11-bit data, there will be four parity bits, which is again determined by this formula. And these four parity bits will keep track of the number of ones at various positions in various blocks. For example, the first parity bit will keep track of the number of ones in these parallel blocks, same as with 2, same as with 4, same as with 8. From the way the blocks are numbered, which you can see here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 15. And from that we can see that parity bit 1 tracks every 1 bit and then alternates between every 1 bit. Similarly, parity bit 2 tracks every 2 bits and then alternates with every 2 bits each time. Similarly, 4 tracks 4 and alternates over 4, and 8 tracks 8 and alternates over 8. The first bit that is tracked by that parity, for example, the first bit that parity bit 2 tracks will be bit number 2, parity bit 8 tracks will be bit number 8, and so on. This forms the basis of our generation algorithm, which I will show right now in the software from the software package. Taking demonstrate an example which was provided to us in the lecture 20 slides. I'll try to replicate that example using our software package, and the data is already entered, and this is the same data as was provided in the slides, and to generate the Hamming code, we try that, and which comes out as exactly the same. We can see that the 4 bold bits here represent the parity bits, which are the same as the highlighted bits in this section. Moving on to the 1-bit error correction part. The error correction, we use the bitwise XOR, and in this case, we check the indexes of all the bits of the code which have a 1 in them. For example, in the screenshot attached, we have the data 10110101. So the ones are present at the first, third, fourth, sixth, and 8th bits. If we take the bitwise XOR of 1, 3, 4, 6, and 8, we get an error of we get a value of 8, which translates to the fact that the error is contained in the 8th bit. Trying to replicate that with another example that was given out to us in the class. This is the same example as above, the same coded data, but here there is an error in the 11th position. I'll try copy that, and try to replicate that over here and checking for error, and we find out that indeed it is the 11th bit that has the error, and the corrected data bit is which corrected data matches with the original coded data, and the decode the Hamming decode is basically just removing all the first, second, eighth, fourth, and eighth bits, which are all the bits that have that can be represented in the form of 2 to the power n, where n is any non-negative integer. So removing that, we also arrive at the corrected data bits, which is the original non-coded message.